Hey everyone, I just want to start this weekly news recap wrapping up what happened this week. Starting off with the bigger news, we had the Fed come out this Wednesday with no rate cut as there just wasn't enough support for a rate cut and they would like to see more data before making any policy adjustments. Even though they didn't state outright that there will be a cut this year, they stated they would act appropriately to sustain the economy. President Trump has been calling for lower interest rates to boost the economy and has even looked at demoting Fed Chair Powell. But Powell stated, "The law is clear that I have a 4-year term and I fully intend to serve it." In crude oil news, we had a nice move up at the beginning of the week when President Trump stated that he will have an extended meeting with Chinese President Xi at the upcoming G20 summit. On Wednesday, we had a rocket strike the residential and operational headquarters of several oil companies, including ExxonMobil in southern Iraq. When the oil inventories came out this Wednesday, we had a draw of 3.1 million barrels versus an expected draw of 1.1 million barrels. And on top of that, on Thursday, we had Iran shoot down a US drone in international space, but the Iran Guard stated that it flew over their territory. After that incident, crude oil spikes up and also gold spiked up as well to 6-year highs. President Trump even ordered an airstrike against Iran, but 10 minutes before the vote to be launched, he called it off after being told 150 people could die. So instead, he decides to add more sanctions. On Sunday, India has imposed higher tariffs on 28 US goods, including almonds, apples, and walnuts. This was seen as retaliation to Washington's withdrawal of key trade privileges for New Delhi. In Hong Kong news, after millions of people were protesting against the extradition bill, Chief Executive Carrie Lam finally caved in and suspended the bill. But the bill isn't going away yet, it's only being postponed till in the future where they will try to pass it again. There are still protesters trying to force her to resign and demanding that it to be withdrawn completely. On Tuesday, we had the ECB President Mario Draghi coming out saying that they could and that they are ready to launch another round of stimulus or QE, and the central banks could also cut interest rate if inflation doesn't reach their targets. Also on Tuesday, Facebook has released more details on the new cryptocurrency Libra. It's currently set to launch in the first half of 2020 and will allow users to send money around the world easily and for free. Libra itself will not be run by Facebook, but by a non-profit organization and will be backed by stable government currency. The way Facebook plans to profit from it is from the digital wallet, and they will not be the only one with the digital wallet. Anyone can make one. They will be keeping this division totally separate from Facebook, so no financial information from the digital wallet will be used for any of the current Facebook platforms. This week during the Paris Air Show, Airbus totally demolishes Boeing when it comes to new plane orders. Airbus had orders and letters of intent for 595 airplanes compared to Boeing's 234, but Boeing would have been totally annihilated if it wasn't for the surprise order from British Airways owner IAG for 200 of its 737 MAX aircrafts. In Canadian news this week, China has halted the import of pork from another Canadian company, Frigo World, as they had claimed to have found ractopamine, which is a feed additive that is banned in many countries. China has already stopped pork imports from 2 other Canadian producers already because of labeling problems. This move from China is speculated as retaliation to the rest of the Huawei executive in Canada. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his cabinet has approved the Trans Mountain expansion project, and construction could begin this year. They have also stated that they plan on investing all the profits they earn from the pipeline from taxes into unspecified clean energy projects. They also don't want to own the project long term, and they want to sell it off to interested buyers as well. In Canada, inflation rose 2.4% in May compared to May of last year, with the most noticeable in food prices, up 4%. Fresh vegetables were up 16.7%, where meats were up 2.9%. The only one that was down was gasoline, which dropped 3.7%. If we factor energy out, inflation would have been 2.7%. Even though the US Fed Chair didn't cut rates during the recent meeting, investors are predicting a cut later in the year. We can see this as a divergence where US will cut rates and Canada will most likely hold rates unchanged. This should help the loonie rise in value compared to the US dollar. On Thursday, Dischargent Group stated that more than 2.5 million members have had their information shared with third parties outside of the organization. The incident was not caused by a cyber attack or of the system being breached, but rather by a former employee who accessed the information and then shared it. Even though we didn't get a rate cut this week, overall the markets had a big move up, with the optimism of a rate cut coming soon. On top of that, President Trump stated he will be having an extended meeting with the Chinese President Xi at the G20 summit in hopes that we can start making some progress in ending the China trade war. We also had a big move up in crude oil this week, with the tension between US and Iran getting worse when Iran shot down the US drone. And as always, if you like this series, please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.